Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Lune, and I hope you're well, and if you're not, I hope you're well soon. First of all, Happy New Year. It's 2025, officially. So, a lot of new stuff coming, and I'm really excited. And I hope you guys have a good start to your year, and, you can really make the most of whatever you want to in this new year. It is a fresh start, a new cycle. So, with that said, I wanted to talk about honestly my own experiences that I've been having lately. So I don't know the last time I posted. I think it's been under a week, but there were a good like 2 to 3 days this past week where I was having these really intense like mental spirals. Um, I have struggled with social anxiety, depression, um, self image issues, stuff like that, right? For pretty much, I'd say from middle school, elementary school up till now. And so that was kind of like a normal mental thing that I always kind of had to deal with growing up. So I had another run in with those mental spirals as I used to, but this time they were so intense, like so intense. Like it was almost like my mind was attacking me. Like that is how it felt, right? That is how it felt. And I was like, am I dying? Like what's happening? I now recognize it as an ego death. Um from a spiritual perspective, it was an ego death because it was okay, so when we talk about the ego, right? It's like the mind. It's the side of us that as human beings that kind of, let's just say, likes to run wild and can really run and control us if we don't get a handle on it. So I've been living out of ego for a long time. Um, Pretty much my whole life, excluding when I was very young. And because I was living out of ego, um, I had a hard time finding my own sense of self, my own identity. I had a difficult time not letting my mind completely control me and everything I did or didn't do. Because with social anxiety, the mere thought of being around people was like, nope, not happening, right? Um, I could not, I literally, like, my mind, the way it was, the way my ego and I had a relationship, it was like I could not do things. And it was really annoying. And I remember being so frustrated, like, why the hell can't I, like, why can't I be normal? Like, why can't I just socialize with people? And I realized that there were, like, deeper issues that manifested as social anxiety, right? So I knew that I had other things going on in my family and my home life and all that types of stuff and other stuff too, but it's like when you see that the root of the way that your ego is running you now is because of programming, it's because of how you grew up, um you can understand that it's just how your mind was conditioned and programmed. So when your mind is running like this, it's not really you, it is your mind. It is your mind sorting through everything you've been programmed with. And if it's programmed a certain way, if it comes into contact with something that threatens that programming or threatens the ego from that programming, your ego's gonna be like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, threat, threat. And then you're gonna have like a mental spiral, right? And I recognize this as it's happening. I'm like, this is really weird. And I literally, I felt like I was dying. I was like, what is wrong with me? What's happening? And then I finally got to a point where I don't quite know why this happened, but I feel like it was a shift in my energy or a shift in my ascension, something. But suddenly I was aware that I have control over my mind. I am not my mind. And people say this so much, but it's very true. You are not your mind. You are a spiritual being. You are much more than a human mind. You are an awareness. You are aware, a being that can be aware of the body that you're in and things externally from it too. And because you as a being have that awareness, you can also separate yourself from the physical mind. You can have thoughts with your mind, but you know how people say you don't have to accept that thought? That's true. You can control your thoughts from a certain point. Can you always, prevent thoughts from coming up sometimes? No, sometimes thoughts will just come to you, and that is simply how it is. It comes into your awareness. A thought comes into your awareness, and this is what people say a lot of times, you can choose what thoughts you accept and which ones you don't accept. You can send away the ones that are not productive. And I've learned that actually the easiest way for my brain to understand like what's going on so that it doesn't go into like mental spiral mode is to talk to my brain as if it's another being, because technically it is, even though it's part of your human, it's complex. But talking to my brain and being like, okay, here we go, brain, right? Like, this thought came up. Why did it come up? Because of your programming? Because of something you encountered? Why? What's that thought coming from? And then if I can do that, I can understand, okay, maybe this thought of like, oh, I hate myself. You're like, oh, well, where the heck did that come from? Probably the programming that made you feel inadequate. Made you feel like you hate yourself. But you don't. Inherently, people do love themselves. Why do you think people are still going strong, still living their lives? People only hate themselves when they're programmed to hate themselves. And that's an interesting concept that in itself, but you can recognize that it's the programming that is giving you the thought. And then from there, you can say, okay, I understand this is coming from an egoic perspective, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I simply am not going to accept that as my truth, as who I actually am. Because at the core of it, you're not inadequate. You are worth something. Imagine if you grew up and had people telling you all the time, you're an amazing person. You're so great, and your needs were always met. Imagine you grew up in like this perfect way, and you were just always around positivity. And arguably that might not be the best either, because then you go into the world, and I'm gonna get too intellectual about it, but imagine you grew up in a really positive environment, and so you have all these programmed thoughts that you're amazing and that you're a good person and that you are positive. Then you're going to grow up thinking that, right? That's your core programming. It's only when other things outside of yourself tell you that you aren't that you start to think that you are. And again, the mind is a tool, so you can use your mind to evaluate what is coming in and out of your awareness and go from there. Accept what you actually know to be the truth about yourself as an awareness. We're in a human body, right? Like, I can call myself by my name, but as I've come to understand this, and it's a little weird, because when I first heard people talking about this, about, oh, you're just an awareness. You can just, your mind isn't really you. I had like a triggering egoic response to that because my mind was like, what do you mean? I'm not in charge. Like, you know what I mean? And it's so funny because that's also a programmed response, is to feel like you're not in control and all of that. But I'm coming to the point where I'm able to recognize that my ego exists and not be mad at myself for having an ego, because as human beings we are going to have an ego. That's literally part of how we are made in this planet. Like, that's how we're made. We have egos. um if we weren't meant to have egos, we would not have them, right? They would not exist. At least from my perspective, that's what I think. So there's no shame in having an ego. There's no shame in having egoic responses. But know that if you don't want your ego to control you, you actually want to integrate your ego and be one with your ego in a balanced way, then you have to recognize that the ego doesn't control you. You're the awareness, and your ego, your mind, is a tool. It's, you can think of it as a separate entity that is also simultaneously part of you. Again, complex, but I have been coming into that awareness. The awareness that I am an awareness and that I can I can talk to my ego, and when I'm having egoic responses, I don't have to shame myself for that experience because it is a normal human experience that is meant to be experienced. I just can use my ego for better things, or I can integrate it in a way that is helpful rather than hinders me. Right? Like when people say like to reprogram your mind so that you have less resistance. When you reprogram your mind with positive things, um and you deprogram the not so great things, the things that aren't as productive, that actually hold you back, that frees up space to actively go towards what you actually want to go towards, rather than staying stuck in something that you don't truly want. It's just that you're programmed to think that you want it. Because I could tell you that's exactly what I've experienced. And so it's literally just to understand that you can have more control. Not in a egoic way, but more control in a way where you can be more conscious of what is and is not what you want to embody. If you want to embody suffering and hindrance and staying small, that is your choice. You can do that. But if you want to expand, if you want to go beyond your programming that you grew up with, or that you weren't aware of before, but now you are, you can also do that. It's all a choice. Neither way is right or wrong, but it's just when you get into this awareness, you are more aware of your tools so that you can live life in a more fulfilling, loving way. That is kind of the point of it, but I don't know. So I wanted to share that because that was something that I've seen people talk about, but I hadn't personally experienced until now. So I notice myself going throughout my day, and I'm literally like, I'm just an awareness. And then I have like these thoughts where my brain is like trying to talk to me, and it's like, we have to do this, or we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. And then I have to like, it's almost like I observe what my mind is saying, and I'm like, okay, you're saying that, and that's a valid point, but maybe I don't want to actually do that because I just don't want to. Maybe that's actually not urgent, and it's good that you're telling me, but I don't need to do that. Like that type of thing. It's like literally like respecting your brain, respecting what it's telling you, and not shaming it. Because again, it's like another being within you that you have to kind of communicate with. Your mind, your ego. It's like, hey, mind, ego, like, I respect what you're saying, and I'm going to take it into consideration, and then I'm going to choose from there what I actually want to do with that information. Instead of just accepting everything the ego mind shows you and tells you to the point where it's controlling you. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to share today. I hope that was helpful. And maybe talk to me about it in the comments, because I want to know your perspective on the ego, the mind, and the awareness that we are, because this is just like a higher level of consciousness I'm becoming more aware of, and it's very interesting, and it'd be cool to talk to people about it. So if you want to comment about it, and your own perspectives, I would love to read that and think about it, and yeah, I don't know, explore that. So awesome. I hope you guys are having a great New Year's. And if you're not, I hope you are soon. New Year. So exciting. And yeah, have a great day, night, whatever, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.